Hi guys, ready for chapter 2? I got a summary from some of you guys yesterday in the classroom, Google Classroom, but not everybody. So be sure that you do that today. Give me just a brief summary about what we read today in chapter 2. Remember, it's fail or pass, so be sure that you're doing that. If you have any trouble getting in, just email me and I'll help you. Okay? All right, chapter 2. The deal is I have cerebral palsy, CP. CP is not a disease, it's a condition. When I was born, I had brain damage. A tiny blood vessel burst inside my head, and as luck would have it, this blood vessel was in exactly the 100% perfectly wrong spot. I don't know enough about the brain to be able to say where in my brain this injury happened. Frontal lobe, cerebral cortex, but whatever it was, it wiped out my muscle control. I can't control any of my muscles. Not my fingers, my hands, my left foot, my stomach, my tongue, my throat, my behind, my eyelids, none of them. Not a one. So when the psychologist says, "Who was George Washington?" I can't tell him what I know. From the dollar bill to the cherry tree, from the revolution of the colonists against the British to the father of our country, from his wooden teeth to him knowing Thomas Jefferson to anything. And when I'm asked about the old dead first president, all I can do is sit there and drool, if my drool function's running, or potty in my pants if that gear is engaged, or go, if my vocalizing program has clicked in. Nobody has ever said to me, "Blink your eyes twice if you understand me," or tried to teach me Morse code so that I could control my neck muscles. I might bang out something like, "Howdy, I remember everything I hear, so would you mind playing a little rock and roll?" Nobody's ever held my hand over a Ouija board or drawn letters with their fingers on my chest. Nobody's ever tried any of these Hollywood movie techniques of making contact with me. They think I'm too far gone for that. But the fact is, none of these things would work anyhow. They wouldn't work for me because I can't control any of my muscles. I've never been able to, and I don't know that I ever will. My brain just can't do it, period. Blink your eyes if you understand. Well, if I could, I would. I'm trying like I've tried 10 million times before, and it doesn't work. I can't control my blinks either. Bounce your head if you want some chocolate cake. I'd love some chocolate cake. But not only can I not bounce my head, I can't even chew the cake if you shoved it into my mouth. I have to just let it sit there and kind of melt into chocolate mush and wait for my shallow reflex to kick in. Swallowing, breathing, flinching, and getting all brainstem functions happen to me, but I can't make them happen. I'm in a wheelchair. I can't talk. I can't control my eyes in any way that does me any good, like to read a book or something. First off, I can't hold the book to turn the pages, but even if I could use my hands, my eyes go where they want to go. I can't control them. A lot of the time, luckily, my eyes do focus on stuff and manage to soak up what they're looking at. But it's like my eyes have little minds of their own. I can't will them to pay attention. One second, I'll be looking at something, and the next moment, my eye muscles will decide that the smudge on the wall is where I should be looking. And that'll be that. I do know how to read. My sister Cindy taught me when I was 7. I'd sit there looking dumb, and Cindy would play teacher of the year, and she'd point to letters and sound them out and show me simple sentences, reading the words slowly, like her teacher must have once read to her. And when I'd flip around and vocalize and do my silly number, she'd scold me and then repeat her lessons. Cindy was playing. I was learning. I picked up reading from Cindy, playing school with me, and through remembering sounds and listening to words as I saw them written down, like on TV screens or video credits, and in real life from signs on every type, like motel, which taught me MOTEL, to stop, which taught me STOP. Reading is easy once you catch on that every letter just stands for a sound. And once you get that, then the letters on magazine covers and billboards, and those just floating across the sky, pulled by an airplane, or flashing from that Goodyear blimp, they all turn into sounds. Sounds to letters, letters to words, words to sentences. Reading. Of course, nobody knows I can read. Like the captain says in Cool Hand Luke. That's a movie. That's an old movie. If you guys get bored, you can look that one up. I think. I don't remember if it's appropriate. What we have here is a failure to communicate. In my case, that's kind of like calling the Grand Canyon a pothole. That's my dog. Gus, I'm reading here. You'd be surprised how much stuff you can learn and remember when you haven't got anything else to do with your time. My main teachers in life are the TV, the car radio, listening to Paul and his friends, and Cindy and her friends, eavesdropping on one side of every phone conversation anybody in my family ever has, reading bits and pieces of newspapers, magazines, and books left open on nearby tables, chairs, or couches, catching glimpses of reader boards, billboards, and 1,000 other pieces of written, spoken, seen, heard info from the world. Maybe for somebody who doesn't remember every sound that they hear, all these things wouldn't mean that much. But I do remember. I remember everything. Nothing that ever comes into my head ever gets out again. I'm pretty smart. But this sounds like good news again, doesn't it? Okay, let's get back to reality. Experiencing life the way I have, that is only through what I see and hear, has made it hard for me to really understand some things. I've seen people run, but I have no idea what your legs feel like when you do that. What does your arm feel like when you throw a baseball? Your fingers holding a pencil. What do your lips feel like when you get to kiss somebody? Also, sometimes just hearing things can create confusion and misunderstanding. When I first heard my mom talk about turkey dressing, I wondered, what in the world would she be dressing a turkey for? I wondered, why would she do that? And when I first saw a billboard picturing the Marlboro Man, I thought, why is that cowboy up there smoking? And for the next 6 months, I thought that was my dad, or maybe my next door neighbor, the guy who brings our mail at the postman. A lot of these things I eventually figured out, but I'm still confused about some stuff. For instance, how does a car wash work? Do they actually have a bathtub big enough to fit a whole car in there? What about a truck? And doesn't putting the car underwater mess up the engine? And here's one it took me a long time to figure out. Until I actually saw the word written down, I always wondered why nobody realized that calling the killing of sick people youth in Asia might not just be a little offensive to young people in places like Japan or China. Maybe it's a good thing I can't communicate. Otherwise, I'd probably act like a fool. I don't feel too sorry for myself, but I'm aware of the trouble my condition has put on my family, and I can't help but feel sorry for them. They've all handled in different ways. My mom is very loving and patient. My sister, a lot like my mom. My brother gets impatient and angry sometimes. I wish I could communicate with them to tell them what my life is really all about, but I can't. My condition changed all their lives. It hurt everyone. Thinking about that is one of the few things that can really bum me out. So I try not to think about it much. I do sometimes wonder what life would be like if people, even one person, knew that I was smart and that there's actually a person hidden inside this useless body. I am here. I'm just sort of stuck in neutral. There's the title to our book. And if I think about it too much, I can get real nutso. My mom, Lindy, she still talks to me as if I were a newborn baby. She can't know that I understand everything she says to her friends when they drop by to visit her or when she's chatting with them on the phone. Everything she says to Cindy and Paul. Everything she says, period. So my contact with her is limited to "Goo goo baby, oh so sweet baby boy. You big baby boy, boogie woogie boogie snoogie." You know that sweet baby talk? Oh, I wish just once I could say to her, "Geez, Mom, I'm 14 years old." But I can't, and that's just how it is. I try not to spend too much time worrying about how hard my life is. Of course, it's kind of difficult not to think about it at least part of the time. What else is there for me to do? For the most part, though, I just live and try not to gripe too much to myself about the bad news stuff of my life. Griping doesn't change anything. It is frustrating being trapped inside a useless body. Of course it's frustrating. Have I ever felt frustrated? Yeah. But what am I supposed to do? Getting crazy doesn't help. In fact, I figured out a long time ago that the crazier I get, the worse it feels. There is one final bad news punchline to my life. And this bad news is complicated, difficult to explain. In a nutshell, it's that I'm pretty sure my dad is planning to do me in. The good news that he'd be doing this out of love for me. The bad news is that whatever the wonderfulness of his motives, I'll be dead. And that's chapter 2. So, be sure and write me a little summary on today. Keep reading your the novel of your choice at home. And remember that on Fridays, submit a little summary of that book as well. 10 pages a day, okay? And again, please email me. Let me know if you need anything or if you're having trouble with something. And I'm always here for you. Okay, see you tomorrow, chapter 3. Bye, guys.